Today on the bottom shelf, we are talking about the 1988 film. Will you stop that hammering? What is that noise coming from?
That's a repair crew for the pod doors, since John mentioned something about escaping or something. Well, we decided to fix that issue so it wouldn't ever happen.
Okay. Well, as I was saying, Scrooged, a holiday film directed by Richard... Will you please stop that racket? We need a movie to discuss.
Oh, okay, buddy. It won't happen again. Promise.
Good. Thank you. Now, as I was saying, today we are looking at the 1980... You know what? Forget this. Forget it. Glix, please take care of the love for everything. Stop that racket and fix the pod bay door.
Hey, Kevin, you want some eggnog?
No, I don't want an eggnog. I don't like eggnog. It's got all that yolk and it's got all that cream. I just don't like the mixture of sugar. I don't care about anything. I just want to do the podcast. That's it, okay? Let's talk about the movie, okay? Yeah? Good?
Are you ready to discover a world of terrible movies? High above the planet Geekery, three brave individuals with the help of other friends work through a list of terrible movies to discover one simple truth. Are they better than people think? Or do they really belong on the bottom shelf? Grab your popcorn, grab your favorite snack, and get ready to find out.
Hello and welcome to The Bottom Shelf, the show where we watch critically terrible films so that you don't have to. The Bottom Shelf, an extension of Geek Devotions, a show from devoted geeks who are devoted to letting people know that they are loved. So if you don't watch past this moment, know this: you're loved, you're cared for. There is a plan and purpose for your life. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dallas, and with me is a fine and merry cast and crew of The Bottom Shelf. Let's start with this gentleman right here. I think your name is John.
Oh, that's me. Hi. Who screwed up the doors?
No one.
We'll get into that another day. Hey, you got the taco machine back?
Yeah, it has guac now.
Oh, good. Death fruit. That's fun.
I like guacamole. I like death fruit. I like to put it on my toast.
Death? You don't like avocados?
I'm allergic.
Well, fine, dude, fine. It also makes banana splits.
Oh, good. Double trouble for me. It's going to be a great podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Help me. All right. So, and then we have with us also the Dapper Man himself, Kevin. How you doing, buddy?
At least there's no more hammering noises.
At least. Like, I think the crew's almost done fixing all that up.
Brilliant.
You keep saying crew, but I only see you, the three of you guys on the ship.
Maybe you're not searching the right places.
Dun, dun, dun.
This is like Rose Red. It's just there's things that get built, and then there's nobody who actually is there to build them.
Podcast magic, bro. Just go with it.
Red rum.
And then we have Celeste.
Hello.
How are you doing, babe?
I'm good. It's nanotech. That's how it's happening.
It's nanotech. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are reviewing a particular film, I believe. Kevin, what has been pulled out of the galactic trash can that we found on the planet Geekery?
Okay, today we have a 1988 film called Scrooged, directed by Richard Donner. Wait. Okay, I'm just waiting for that hammer noise to start. It's not happening. Okay. If you may know Richard Donner for the director of such classics as The Omen, The Toy, with Richard Pryor, and Timeline. It comes with this 1988 holiday film that would upset many film critics at the time. But we would have to wait probably like 30 years for those critics to die off so that way people could enjoy this film. For people to find that this movie is actually sweet, kind, loving, non-manipulative, and, Bill Murray actually calms down for a moment.
Just for a moment?
Yeah, just for a moment. Music is done by Tim Burton's secret lover, Danny Elfman. 40% of the music, 40% of this is written by Mitch Glazer and Michael O'Donoghue. 40% is written, not the rest. Everything was all ad-libbed, apparently. Cinematography is also done by Ghostbusters 2, Michael Chapman. This is also starring the first time lead for Bill Murray because Bill Murray has never actually truly lead. He was always a co-star. So this is his first time actually leading a film.
Wait, for real?
Yeah. He was always considered like
He's
a
never-
He never led a film. This is his first time actually being completely as a solo lead actor.
I had no. That's interesting.
Yep. It also stars Indiana Jones' first girlfriend, Karen Allen. Sorry, Karen. Has
And
the
his baby mama.
has the trembling, incoherent Bob Goldfinger, or Goldthwait. Yeah, Goldthwait.
Bobcat Goldthwait. He's awesome. He's like one of my favorite comedians from the 80s, man. For real.
Doesn't he sound a lot like Tom Waite? Kind of.
I don't know. I just
No, that's David Johnson. That's right. Also has Carol Candy Kane and John Glover, and including
your wife.
it also includes a veteran actor, Robert Mitchum, who is only in this for the money and nothing else. If you notice,
what about the cat?
on the posters?
What about Lee? What's his face from the $6 Million Man?
You gotta let me finish though. Lee Majors is in this for like 13 seconds. He was also in it
That's
for the
all
money.
I'm saying, dude.
I'm not gonna lie. Okay, we'll get into it later.
There was a tagline every poster, and it's quite apparent who Bill Murray is because it says Bill Murray is back among the ghosts. Only this time it's 3 against 1. He just can't get away from ghost movies.
Especially that movie where Patrick Swayze's behind him when they're
Yes.
sculpting a pot.
was-
You know.
That was an intimate moment.
It was beautiful.
But yeah, that's what I have for Scrooged.
All right. I think we have some warning labels attached to this thing here.
So
Oh,
many warning labels.
Really? Oh yeah, there
Yeah,
is. Okay.
John, what you got over there? What you looking at?
Warning, children should not watch this. It will mess them up for years.
Celeste, you got one?
I do. It says, watch out for the toaster.
I got one here. It says, "Don't watch." Okay,
Mm-hmm.
All
My father,
right.
ladies and gentlemen.
John, what do you got, man?
Warning, Zed from Police Academy goes berserk, holds people hostage with a shotgun while thinking he's Bugs Bunny.
Here's a good one. This might Scrooge up your entire Christmas season. I like how merry this makes Kevin.
His belly wiggle like a bowl full of jelly.
John, you got another one, bud?
Yeah, warning, the song at the end of this movie will be stuck in your head post-mortem.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. All right. So what do you guys think? What are our expectations going into the film today? I feel like we've all seen this, right? Have we all seen this
Yeah.
before today? Celeste, you never saw this before?
No.
Holy crap.
My dad was the one who said, don't watch.
That's right.
This would be my 3rd time watching it. I remember watching it only twice before, and the 2 times I've watched it before, I just thought it was okay.
That's fair.
This movie, for real, I've seen it. I saw it when it was first out on VHS when I was 6 years old, and you know it's been a standard for me. I've seen it very many times, and quite frankly, there's something charming about Bill Murray. Like even when he's playing a sleaze, he's still incredibly likable to watch on screen.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Bill Murray is the Bacon of cinema. Even if he's in something bad, he still makes it a little bit better than if he
Kevin
wasn't
bacon,
in
ladies
it.
and gentlemen, but actual bacon.
So they're both greasy.
Oh,
Greasy people.
He kind of is. Are you suggesting Life Aquatic was better because of him?
I'm saying it could have been significantly worse if he wasn't in it.
Okay.
Well, here in Jacksonville,
make-
we have a thing. I live in a town that's small in corporate towns called Murray Hill. And so on the big side of the wall, they have a picture of Bill and Murray Hill. So like Bill Murray because he's very big here in Jacksonville due to the Caddyshack he owns out here at St. Augustine.
No kidding.
And I will just say, can you imagine Zombieland without Bill Murray in it? I
haven't
can't.
seen it.
I've not seen it, so I can't imagine it at all.
Yeah, you're right. It couldn't do any better without him in it.
My expectations is I'm going to enjoy this. I've watched it many times as a child. Probably shouldn't have had, and yeah, I think I'll probably laugh quite a bit during this viewing because Bill Murray does make things better for some reason. All right, Celeste, what are your expectations? I know you haven't seen it, but what are your expectations going in? Oh, hold on.
You're muted, is what you are.
Okay.
I'm actually kind of conflicted because my dad legitimately really, really hates this movie, but a lot of people really like it. So I don't know what to expect.
Well, all right then. Well, guys, let's go into the movie theater.
Who brought the popcorn?
I made some this morning.
Dallas did.
Dear listeners, this is your opportunity to escape. Our crew has just entered into the media projection chamber. What horrors and madness that they consume are unknown. Their mental state upon their return is unknown. You have been warned.
Well,
Apparently Celeste decided to stay in the theater for a little bit to see if there's a post-credit scene.
I kept telling her this is not a Marvel film.
Yeah,
Sometimes you don't know anymore.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we just got out of the movie. Let me read the description of the movie for people so they know what we just watched. Kind of what we're getting into. All right. Francis Xavier Cross, that's a name, is a cynical, mean-spirited television executive. He treats his loyal assistant with contempt. He just sacked a member of a staff on Christmas Eve for simply disagreeing with him. And he alienated himself from his brother, who still insists on inviting Frank to Christmas dinner despite him refusing to go every year. However, Frank is forced to learn the true meaning of Christmas when he's visited by 3 ghosts. So that's the movie we just watched. But I think, Kevin, what did you notice about the film? Like, what do, if people were like, hey, I don't want to listen, but let me know what's going to happen in the film. Like, what do you want to warn them about?
Oh, yeah. In this film, it is rated PG-13, so for those who are curious for your own personal reasons or family or enemies you may want to watch this movie with, it's PG-13 because it has some mild language. It has about like 6 scatological terms. It uses the Lord's name 4 times, and it uses a derogatory word towards a woman twice. For the violence, it's just like basically slapstick comedy. So there's gunshots and there's shootouts, but there's no blood or gore. And there's some sexual humor that could be a bit suggestive, along with them scantily clad women that you could barely see their nipples. And
There was no suggestive there. It was very suggestive.
yeah, you had to be really staring. And
I was
there's
talking
also
about the humor.
yeah, there is. Yeah. And also a suggestive book given as a gift, along with Bill Murray yelling and screaming. That's why it's rated PG-13.
It's fair. It's fair. All right. So let's get into the spoiler-free discussion. So
Okay, for my part of the spoiler-free discussion, I'm just gonna say, read that last sentence of the description that you just gave us, Dallas. Read it.
however, Frank is forced to learn the true meaning of Christmas when he's visited by 3 ghosts.
I hate that sentence because the true meaning of Christmas is never brought up in this movie.
This is true. You want to elaborate on that conversation?
Or
does that get into spoilers?
We'll get into spoilers with that one. I needed to say that because it's a thing. I mean, the true meaning of Christmas, no. The true spirit of Christmas, maybe. Getting the Christmas spirit is more what the message is of this movie, but there's no true meaning in it.
Yeah, and I'll give you that.
And when you gave the description, I heard you say that line. I was just like, I need to say this before I forget about this, because when you're podcasting, you come up with these ideas of things you want to say, but as the conversation goes, some stuff goes by the wayside, and you just forget about it when it would be appropriate to say it. So, wanted to throw that out there. True meaning, no. The spirit of, yes.
Right. I give you that. I totally give you that. So I will say I enjoyed the fact that the graphics of the film, like throughout the film, graphically, it was really well done. Like the things that were creepy, they were creepy without being like cheesy looking.
I think there was a
Mhm.
good bit of practical effects to it.
Yes.
I would say so.
Well, at this time, CGI was still in its infancy. It wasn't common for it to be used in this sort of. I mean, to give you a point of reference of where CGI was at the very end of Batman '89, when Batman's dangling the Joker off the edge of that building,
Right.
that they've got the green screen effect in the background where he's dangling to make it look like it's a billion yards down. That's where CGI was in that time period. If you watch it, you can see the frame rate latency and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So pretty much everything that was in movies during this time period was practical effects.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. So, but I enjoyed it. I thought that it was well. I mean, it was practical, but it was really well done. It didn't feel like, okay, this is kind of hokey. Like the parts that were like meant to be intense, they felt intense. I thought they did a great job of making that a thing for you. And also the visuals. Like there were a couple of scenes that were like just visually very well striking and laid out for me. So
Well, with that, I have a question. There was 2 films that was actually nominated for Academy Award for makeup and design. It was Beetlejuice and Scrooge. Guess which one?
Beetlejuice.
Scrooged.
Oh, for real?
Yep.
So this was an Academy Award winning movie. I think that's a first for our little podcast here.
I think it is.
And
for Academy Awards, yeah. Just realized that.
As long as we are on the topic of why it's on this podcast, because it wouldn't make sense to have an Academy Award winning movie.
I didn't know it was one. That's interesting.
That is interesting.
The reason why this actually, other than the fact that it was in the dumpster outside on the planet Geekery, the reason why it is here is because on Metacritic, it was rated as a 38. And that's not 38 out of 40, that's 38 out of 100. So
Now, for the listening audience, what is Metacritic?
it is an aggregate site, much similar to like Rotten Tomatoes, where they aggregate scores from movie critics on a movie to kind of give you a general synopsis as far as what the majority of people feel about it.
But far
Right.
better than Rotten Tomatoes.
Interesting.
It tends to skew a little bit more accurately because it's not swayed by advertising.
So ironically with this film, so clearly this was graphically a great film. Like if it won that award, I appreciate it. Like it didn't feel like Ghostbusters Part 3.
True.
Like-
Ghostbusters Christmas.
Yeah, Ghostbusters Christmas special.
I don't know. Came pretty close. I have something, and wait, I wrote down some notes when I was inside there. I forgot to use staples.
Do you carry a stapler with you normally?
Sometimes you never know.
Okay.
You never know.
Must be an Irish thing.
Well, you never know if you have to staple, some ears or something together.
You keep that with your bag of potatoes and possibly a shovel and
Yeah. How do you think I keep my beard intact? Okay. I actually didn't mind the music. I actually thought it was actually kind of nice.
Yeah.
Danny Elfman was actually disappointed scoring the film because he was told this was supposed to be a horror holiday film, not a comedy. So there was always like that big, apparently argument behind with Richard Donner and Danny Elfman. He was like, you told me this was a horror holiday film, horror Christmas film, not a comedy, dark comedy. So there is an album that actually was released in 2011. And that was the first time it was actually released on any type of physical media. And they only made 3,000 CDs. So if you have a chance to get that CD, if possible, you're on a gold mine.
Wow. That's interesting.
Have you heard anything from it, Kevin?
I listened to it through YouTube.
Was it any good?
Yeah, I liked it. It just, I'm just going to say, I didn't think the music actually matched the movie. And after I looked into it, I was like, oh, okay, this actually makes sense why.
Right.
It just didn't feel in sync with the movie from that part.
So watching this movie for probably the first time since I've become a bit of a movie snob myself.
You know.
Does it? Shut up. Did anybody else catch some serious Tim Burton vibes from this movie outside of the music? Because
Yes.
obviously Danny Elfman, but I mean for the rest of the movie.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely, especially with the creepier portions of it.
Yeah, with the ghost of was it the Christmas,
Christmas
future?
Future.
I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
is this a Jim Henson design? Because I kept thinking it was Jim Henson with Tim Burton clashing together. I was like, I like this.
Death
Right.
Star Crystal.
That scene. I feel like we're about to get in spoilers with that. That always reminded me of Labyrinth for some reason.
Yes.
See,
Labyrinth
for me, it always reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street 3 when Freddy cuts open his shirt and he has all those captured souls on his chest. But
Wow.
Or Return to
Uh,
Oz, a Walt Disney classic.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen it, but I've been told that movie's a horror film in and of itself.
It is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Real quick, before I forget, and we completely skipped over my section of the intro, which is John's weird facts that he comes up with because I'm not important.
Nah. More to the
The
side.
guy who plays the ghost of Christmas Past, I don't remember his real name, but in the 80s he made music under the name Buster Poindexter.
Really?
Yes. No, not Buster Poindexter, Buster Keaton.
Yeah.
Interesting. Was it good?
Well, he had that song Hot, Hot, Hot. However, what people don't realize is he was also the lead singer of proto-punk band that was famous in New York City. The one, the only, the cross-dressing New York Dolls.
Really?
Yep, he was the singer for the New York Dolls.
Never heard of
Interesting.
them.
You've never heard of the New York Dolls? Oh, Kevin.
I've never been to
you
New
need-
York, so I don't see what their dolls look like.
Kevin, sir, I need to educate you on American music someday.
Yeah, that's why I listen to blues and country.
To be fair, Kevin, John here runs a segment for our other podcast, Com Talk, a segment called Primitive Rhythm Machine. So music is his life.
Yeah.
He's also like plays in a band and does all kinds of stuff.
And does worship lead or plays with worship.
Yeah.
So he's a music nut. So he's a music nut. You're the movie nut. I just like pecans. So
I thought it was
Celeste,
more
what
of a
did you like
coconut.
about the film?
Coconuts. Sorry. Distraction. So I thoroughly enjoyed the humor. Like there were parts of the humor that I could have done without, and we'll talk about that later. But just the very sarcastic, the very blunt humor of it
Mm-hmm.
was in like I appreciated that. But I like John said, it felt like a Tim Burton movie. I
Mhm.
like dark humor.
Yeah.
I like
It feels like this was the type of humor that was prevalent in the 80s. Like,
Maybe
I can
That-
see that.
That very frank, very blunt,
it was
sometimes crude humor.
the direct opposite of all the bright
Uh,
bubblegum colors.
I would say
Mm-hmm.
kind of, because there's a lot of comedies I could see in the 80s that wasn't really dry or sarcastic, at least especially here in the States. But
Maybe this is
it's,
the
it
ones
was-
I watched.
yeah.
Well, back in the 80s, humor was allowed to, it was very much about, take this as the joke it's intended.
Right.
Mhm.
They didn't have to worry about people getting their feelings hurt all the time. So
That's true.
I guess people in the 80s didn't have feelings.
They did. They just covered them up with cocaine.
Yes. And meth.
Or tab.
No, they mixed the tab with the cocaine.
Yeah, there was a lot of tab in this movie. How many
Love
times
tab.
It was like they were saying,
Tab was sponsoring this.
I bet you that was a product placement deal for real.
So
has
much
anyone
Tab.
drank tab? Am I the only one?
It doesn't exist anymore.
You can go to, oh, well, we
I've
have it
seen
in
Tab.
Publix. We have a store down here called Publix, a southern store, and they have tab, and they sell them in 6-packs now. They used to have 12 packs, but now they reduce down to 6-pack cans, and
I feel like
it's
they're at Kroger or
still
something.
awful tasting.
I've not seen it. I take that back. I've seen tab once when I was a child in Walmart, right after I watched a movie, and I asked, "What's tab?" Haven't seen
Terrible.
it since.
Yes.
Terrible.
It,
All right.
it stands for terrible A beverage.
I did enjoy the humor for certain parts. Certain parts,
Mhm.
I guess I think I might agree with Celeste on this part of the humor. Like there were certain parts it worked very well, and certain parts are like, yeah, okay, sure.
Right. Right. I get that. Totally get
I
that.
think the best part for me
Oh.
is the middle of the film. Almost when it gets to the middle of the film, it's like it almost becomes a different type of film, and then it goes right back to being like it doesn't know what it wants to be. That's what it felt like to me. It felt like it wasn't sure 100%. Did it want to be a horror? Did it want to be a dark comedy? Did it want to be a family film? Because this film was advertised to death as a family film.
Almost
Which-
like the what they were talking about.
Yeah, which I could get that because a lot of clashing happened apparently behind stage and so forth. And
Really?
yeah, loads of clashing, lots of fighting. And it even had, like they said, there was a part where Carol Kane would just break down crying because the director was not liking what she was doing and didn't like Bill Murray almost every day. They just try to avoid each other.
I've heard that Bill Murray can be very hard to work with.
I've heard that too.
I've heard that as well.
And I have to say, give it credit. This is Bill Murray's first time as a lead, and he was so used to being as supporting somebody or supporting a cast. So he was very much a person that never went on script. He always improved. Because there's other actors who do that, like Rick Moranis. He always improvs. He never went on script. And there's certain actors who are like that. So there was so
Marx
much.
Brothers were like that.
Yes. There was just so much tension and hatred that broke out in fights that even to this day, no one wants to do any type of special commentary or add any features to the physical copies. Like if you try to find a physical copy, which I have with me, the Blu-ray, there is no special features except for a theatrical trailer.
Really?
No one is interested in talking about the film at all.
Wow. That's terrible.
But if
Well,
we didn't have this film, we wouldn't have Bill Murray today.
Right. Well, since nobody wants to talk about the movie because they had some bad experiences, is there anything spoiler free that we didn't like about the film?
Well, I
I
think
feel like Kevin just kind of went into a little bit.
yeah,
with his
it's a
whole,
mixture
kind
of
thriller.
genre and not knowing what exact ground it should be on.
I
Right.
didn't like Carol Kane's character.
I didn't either.
Like, I hated her voice. Like, the character itself would have been fine had the voice been different.
I see.
Which character was hers?
She was the fairy one.
Oh, the Ghost of Christmas Present?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I loved her character.
See, I loved her
No,
character.
no. I'm talking about a different person. I'm thinking of the girlfriend. Oh crap. what was her
Karen
name?
Allen, Bill Murray's
Yeah, I
girlfriend.
didn't like her character.
Indiana Jones's baby mama.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. So, but no, it was, and like I said, I don't necessarily mind that character as much as I do the voice she was using. Like, I just wanted to punch her. I'm like, shut up, stop talking.
All right. So Carol Kane, you didn't like. I didn't care for Karen.
I normally like Carol Kane.
Hmm.
So, I also didn't care for some of the more, how do I say this? It wasn't outright vulgar, but the more, I don't know how to say it.
I don't know either.
Some of the humor was a bit over the top for me. I'm
Was
like,
it just too crude?
too crude. Yeah. I'm like, this is a bit too much of this.
Right.
Like, as funny as I thought the movie was, there were some times I was like, that's not funny.
I get that. That would be one, like the humor at times was crude just to be crude, which again was kind of the thing at the time. But also Karen Allen, and we'll get into some reasons why I didn't really care for her, but her character I just did not hit home for me at all.
I have issues with her character, but they fall into spoiler territory.
Yeah, same here.
I think this movie was just mean sometimes, just to be outright mean towards everybody. Actually, more like one person just being mean just for the sake of being mean and had no other thing or any other agenda just to be mean. I can
Am
understand.
I the only person?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry. No, you go ahead. I was intruding on you.
I just felt like he was just outright angry, mad, and I just want to know what is the actual true source. True. Ugh, sorry. The true source of you being so vile and angry and hatred towards everybody. And I can't justify just one point in his life to make him that angry towards everybody.
We're getting the spoilers with that one. We'll hit that one a little bit here in a little bit after spoiler warning. John, what's something you didn't like?
I wanted more Bobcat Goldthwait.
I did too.
Didn't like him.
I did too.
I wanted less.
Same.
I mean, if I'm honest, like I walked into this knowing what I was getting. I've seen this movie several times before, and that's the only thing I can think of about this movie that I dislike is how little Bobcat Goldthwait there is in this.
Mm-hmm.
I think the character that they stuck him in was fantastic. I really liked the character. I would have liked to seen a lot more expansion on it. In fact, I would like to see a movie just about that character.
Yeah, watch Shakes the Clown.
I don't know if I can handle that character.
You liked Dr. Nix and playing games with strangers?
Yes, and that I think might be why I was so uncomfortable with him now that you say that, because I just realized that was the voice you were making.
That's terrible.
I wanted more Lee Majors.
Really?
Yeah, with the Jesse Ventura Predator machine gun he was holding.
I legitimately wanted that movie, The Night the Rain Died. I want that movie. Why has that not come out? That is legit. I'm not a Christmas movie person, but that might make my list if that comes out.
One thing I will say about this movie before we hit spoilers, this movie, like if you were born after the 80s or too late in the 80s to really remember them, if you want a really solid synopsis of what the 80s were like in the first person, this movie, I mean, you had the 80s In It For Myself sleaze and Bill Murray. You had the regular homebodies so many flashbacks. This movie is is almost like the definitive 80s experience. At least it was for me. So that and Die Hard,
Yes.
which is another Christmas movie.
Right.
Indeed.
It definitely is like when you think about the 80s, like scenes from this should just come to mind because it just feels and looks just like the 80s.
The power suits,
the
corporate sleazery,
the mindset of how television was ran and everything.
The hair.
Everything. The hair. Yeah.
Oh,
absolutely.
the hair. My goodness.
Oh yeah.
So much hair.
So much hair. So, well, guys, let's jump into the spoiler section and let's just unload because I feel like Kevin's pent up with something over there.
I'm scared of what's going to come out of his mouth.
Ladies and gentlemen, the spoiler section.
Why are you scared of what comes out of my mouth?
Because every time there's a movie that most of us like, you're the guy who's just be like, no, this is a bunch of crap, and let me tell you why.
Well, I thought
And-
we
and
were
if you
all in
did it in
unison
the
for
rage of-
like The Last Airbender, and I thought we were all in unison for something else. I can't remember. I mean-
all right, this is the spoiler free. This is the spoiler section. No holds bar. If you're planning to watch this movie, you don't want our thoughts on it and spoiler, you need to abandon ship now and come back. But this is it. We're letting loose everything here.
We're talking
So,
about plot points.
plot points. So what is stuff that we enjoyed about the film as a whole?
Wait, I thought we just talked about what we enjoyed.
Yes, but
yeah,
like
but
with spoilers.
specifics.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys can go ahead.
Bobcat Goldthwait again. Again.
I want to point out. Let's talk about Bobcat. Let's talk about Bobcat. I appreciated so much the degradation of the character throughout the film.
Yeah.
Like it was off-putting. I almost didn't recognize him looking like a normal, decent human being at the front end of the movie. Because like with his hair was all combed up, the shirt was nice, and he still had that Bobcat like hey type of thing going on. But throughout the film, I appreciated like you really saw the descent into depression and into madness with everything. We didn't get a lot of backstory into like what was happening. He kind of just spit everything out like at the ending scene. But I appreciated that you did see an evolution of him. So it wasn't just like he's put together and then, Bugs Bunny, hey, I'm here type of thing at the end of the movie.
You do that so well, dude.
I will say this, that I preferred him after they gave him a shotgun. Like before that, he made me uncomfortable. He was weird. I didn't understand it. But then they gave him a shotgun. I'm like, okay, he's a homicidal maniac.
You
get
haven't
that.
seen Police Academy yet, have you?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I have all of them. I will bring them down when they come next year.
I have them on my digital copy thing that I sent to you guys before, and you can watch them all.
Yes, we have to pull that up later.
Yeah, sound like Bobcat should have had a shotgun with him the entire time with him.
I mean, it would have made more sense.
Yeah. I mean, so okay, we get introduced into this movie, and we see it's the televised movie with the Santa sleigh, or what was it called?
The night the reindeer.
The night the reindeer died. Having Lee Majors having the Vessi Ventura's machine gun, because that was the actual machine gun from Predator. So we have Bill Murray, which is introduced as the head of this television network, who has zero idea what he's doing. I mean, I don't know how you could hire him. I don't care how many people you know. You have no reason to be running a TV station. You have no idea what you're doing. It doesn't. That part just didn't make any sense. Like, I don't care. I've been working at corporate, so you have to at least know somebody and actually like them. And he doesn't like anybody. He's even like his CEO, who is play of the television, which is played by Robert Mitchum. He's a true Hollywood legend, and I think he's onto something when he was talking about like the animals watching television, how it would change in 20 years, how animals we were watching television. That was 1988. So 1988, 20 years. That's 2008. It's 2021. Animals
How many
watch.
animals you got watching TV with you?
How many? That's right, you're allergic to pets, aren't you? I go to friends'
No.
house, which they have the television on. They're watching Animal Planet. The cats are watching television. I'm like, okay, this guy was actually onto something. That makes sense.
Just for Kevin, before his head explodes from the math, I am the same age as the movie.
That
So
doesn't
it
make my
came
head
out
explode. I'm like, okay.
33 years ago. No. You looked like when you were trying to count it, you looked like your head was going to.
Oh, okay.
So I'm stopping that.
That's funny.
Um,
I want to point out what you said there, Kevin. Like him becoming the CEO, the backstory they gave of his life, it doesn't add up to why he becomes the
No,
head
it
of the
doesn't.
director of the studio. Like that is legitimately a complaint I has. Like you don't really have a reasoning why this is a thing. We know he's the youngest one in history, but like nothing panned out as to why in the backstory that they gave you.
'Cause he's a
It does
suck-up.
too.
Explain, John.
yeah.
It goes into why he is obsessed with TV because he had an ineffectual mom and mildly abusive father.
Which, I'm sorry, his father was played by one of his brothers.
Really?
Yeah, that's one of his brothers.
Okay.
Interesting.
Anyway, so you got that going for him, and he basically was incapable of developing relationships with people because he spent all his time in front of the television. They go over that in great detail.
Yes.
All his memories were memories of from television shows. And then, it goes into his initial careers within television with whatever the name of the dog character was that he played.
Skip the dog with the bone. With the bone.
I think
He
it
just
was
wants the bone.
Barky.
Barky, yeah.
Yeah, and he has this romance going on with Karen Allen's character, but he trades that in for personal advancement. It's just a series of events to point out, he keeps making he got handed a raw deal during his developmental years, and then he started trading in things that matter for personal advancement later on in life. Granted, they glaze over it very fast.
Barely.
Show
It's
it
just like
on
just
there.
boom. Here's all this information. Here you go. 1 minute.
Well, I mean, you're not doing a mini series here, Kevin. You're trying to cram it all into an hour and a half. So
This is why you have effective writing.
I will say this: if it had been a mini series, I think that it would have panned out a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I get that we're trying to get through a 2-hour movie. How long was this movie?
it was an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah. it
Hour
wasn't even
40?
2
Yeah,
hours.
100 minutes.
So I mean, you're trying to get through that, but still, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like there could have been more explanation about some of the stuff. At least going into a little bit more with the Ghost of Christmas Past, what was going on.
That's why
I mean,
the middle
they did show him working during the Christmas party.
The ghost of
that's
Christmas
why you get the
Past was
ghost
funny.
have more of the time, and his whole front half, how much he hates and mean to everybody, have less of that time. That way you can explore. It's like, okay, we get it. He's mean. He's angry. He hates people. Move on. Let's go to the why he's mean.
I agree. They could have spent more time with the ghosts. I
Mhm.
personally
Yes.
loved all the ghosts.
The first one was so funny.
I'm with you on that, John. That I enjoyed all the ghosts. I think everything around Bill Murray was great. I just didn't think Bill Murray was the person they should have used for this film. but I guess it turned out
I'll
for him.
disagree. I mean, who else could you picture in that role?
I can't think of anything
That's
on
a
the top of my
good
head, but I'm pretty sure there's loads of actors around that time that could have done something.
From the 80s or from any time?
From the 80s, during that time period, who could have pulled off that comedic role? Just with that dry sarcasm.
Let's use one of the guys from the A-Team. Let's use Lee Majors. Have him replaced.
No.
Uh,
Who played Batman in Beetlejuice?
Michael Keaton?
Michael Keaton could have done it.
Yes, he could have done it.
I could see that.
So we have like the secretary, who's played by Afri Woodard. A lot of people don't.
I love her.
I love her. She is great in this movie, and she plays in. She plays in a lot of movies and television shows. I didn't really realize it was like she's one of those faces that you recognize but you can't pinpoint. She was like,
Yeah,
what?
she's great. She's great in everything she does.
Yeah, Star Trek: First Contact, Captain America: Civil War, Contact. Ugh, sorry.
It's okay. English isn't his first language. He's Irish.
Hey.
Jeez.
She used in the Luke Cage Netflix show, which I still have yet to watch.
She was great.
She was fantastic in that.
12
Haven't
Years a
seen
Slave,
it.
which I have watched. That was quite a film too. But so many things. And what was it? How much water are you drinking back there?
Are you okay?
I moved this because it was frustrating me and it fell.
See, the movie's already frustrating. We're just talking about it. And what is it like? Bob Dog Goldlate makes
Bobcat Goldthwait.
Yeah, that guy. He just makes one remark. He makes one thing, and he's like, I'm fired. Okay, I guess I could see that because there's some people like that, but really one thing you suggest and you want to fire him, not like let's find more things.
That's one of the aspects that I appreciate it because it did like that was kind of like when you think about the 80s and you think about the corporate America, kind of like what John was saying, that was the mentality. If you were one of the higher ups and anybody questioned you, period, you were gone. Deuces. Like that is a legitimate mindset that people had about the higher ups at the time.
Yeah.
There was the whole sheeps and sharks mentality,
You even see that mentality in Alien.
Yeah.
Wait, Alien or Aliens or both?
The franchise.
Yes, all of it.
Every bit of it.
Including Alien Resurrection? I'm not sure. Okay, anyways,
especially like
movies.
with Paul Reiser, and Alien.
Yeah, everything
too.
with Paul Reiser, even his television shows. We get to see another one of Murray brothers. Oh yeah, I don't think I mentioned that. All of Bill Murray's brothers are in this movie. So
really,
yeah. So when these
that's nepotism in action, my friend.
That's what.
Welcome to the 80s.
Yeah,
I said that's nepotism in action.
Yeah, sort of like the Douglas family. You got Michael Douglas, Kirk Douglas, all the other Douglases,
or the Baldwins.
Yeah,
yes. So many Baldwins.
One of them is very interesting. Anyhow,
right.
After all that, we see
that joke went off with a bang.
Oh,
terrible.
That's too soon.
Yeah,
too soon.
Come on, man.
Come on, brother.
Yeah. So we get to introduce the very first ghost of the Chris. Not the very. Yeah, he was just a ghost. He was just his former boss.
Yeah,
I like the makeup on that. That was freaking fantastic.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna say the part where he turns around and that mouse pushes the golf ball out of his head.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
When I was a kid, that scene traumatized me.
Bro, let's marinate on this section for just a second.
I'm sorry,
This
what?
whole thing, this whole scene right here.
What did you just say?
I said let's marinate on this moment.
Marinate.
Yeah, this whole scene right here is burned into my psyche for the rest of my life. There are moments in my life where I flash back to this scene and a couple other ones that we're going to get to as Kevin kind of walks us through the story. That I'm like, this was traumatizing. Why were we all allowed to watch this back in the 80s as children? What were our parents on in the 80s that this is something we watched?
Cocaine
It
Tab.
was beautifully done. Coke and Tab. It was beautifully done. Like the practical effects of this. When his arm breaks off, when he's holding
Yes!
Horror.
How
Fine.
tripped me out, man. Like that, like there's so much texture in that scene, from the sound effects to the visuals to just the sound of the music in the air.
So much latex in that scene.
It all comes together so well to make you go, what is happening? And just stick with you for the rest of your life.
There's part
But
of
the thing about it,
Sorry.
it's just the thing about it is, I think that's the reason why our generation was able to distinguish the difference between fiction and reality a bit better than, because it's just our parents brought us up with that. You watch movies that were geared for a younger audience from the 80s, like movies like Monster Squad, or The Goonies.
Yes.
And it's just like there's a lot of stuff in these movies that parents nowadays would object to that our parents were just like,
Here's a movie. It's just a movie. We grew up on the Grimm Brothers stories.
And that's just the thing. Movie theaters back in the 50s and 60s, when my parents were growing up, it was commonplace for kids, 10, 11, 12 to go watch the horror films of the times, what with the monster movies that were coming out, or the Hammer films or whatever, and so it was no big deal. So it was no big deal for them. They turned out fine, so they would let us watch it.
Yeah, I'll be watching a movie, and my dad would be like, holding a Guinness in one hand, like, "Hey, son, go get me that pack of marbles." "Okay, Dad, here you go." While they're watching Monster Squad.
I got sent upstairs a couple times to grab my dad a beer back in the 80s, and I was, up to 8 in the 80s. So it's just like, and I had enough wherewithal to shake it on my way back down the stairs to make sure that he didn't send me back up for a second.
Oh, you're the only one. Thank you.
That's terrible. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that whole scene right there with Bob Marley, man, I thought that was great. Or I'm sorry,
Bob Marley.
Who's Bob Marley?
Jacob Marley.
Bob Marley was in this movie.
Bob Marley might have been there too.
Bob Marley probably was there.
Stand up, Christmas night. Get up, stand up. Light your Christmas lights.
I do appreciate they use different names. I mean, because while they're filming Scrooge, a live action thing, I appreciate that it wasn't like too spot on the nose that everyone had the same exact names as the movie.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
Because I do appreciate it, because I think a movie made today would like hammer it down. It's like, just remember who these characters are. It's like, I get it. I know. So.
And that was something else I appreciated about 80s movies that I miss in modern cinema, is that they didn't feel the need to spoon feed you everything.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, you know what you're watching. We're not going to insult your intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't get it, watch it again. Figure it out.
Please watch it again.
Yeah. So, what was I? I was on something. After we see the Murray brothers and they talk about the towel as a gift or as a bonus and a VCR, I'm like, man, if I could have a VCR as a bonus or a Blu-ray or 4K player or whatever player now, as a
that to me was part of the movie that didn't age well, because I'm like,
Well,
VCR.
it's the latest technology, I guess. Kind of.
That was like
You
$800.
have to remember when this movie was made. My family, like legit, my family didn't get its first VCR until about 88.
Yeah, I can't remember wrong. I think it was like probably like that 89, 90, something like that. I think our grandfather gifted us with that, and I think that's why I watch all my Indiana Jones and Star Wars from.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about like the sleek little front loading VCRs that most people remember. I am talking about the big beefy tank that's a top loader. You push the button, and
the one you need two people to hold the VCR. Like, here you go. So you hold this one corner, I hold the other corner. This lifts 250-pound box. Boom, smack.
All right, so for context, the year this movie came out, VCRs on average were $528 on average.
And in 80s economy, nonetheless.
Yeah. Make $5.
Or is that adjusted? Or was that adjusted for inflation?
No, because it wasn't adjusted for inflation. So the first VCR was introduced in '75 by Sony, and it was $1,400. It dropped down to eventually $771. In '82, it dropped to $640. So I'm gonna get a conversion and see how much this cost.
Sony made it.
Well,
I'm pretty sure there's a lot. I just wish we
that
get
it wasn't at the time a good bonus. I'm just saying it didn't age well, because you go, oh, VCR. Like the rest of the movie, well, except for the tab, you kind of could have just watched this normal, and it would have been. You wouldn't have necessarily known the time frame.
I just did the inflation conversion. Okay, $500 in 1988 equates to about $1,169 in 2021.
Yep.
So that's how big of a deal those VCRs were. And so when you see Bill Murray's brother, absolutely like, oh my goodness, when they got that VCR, that's the reason why.
Yeah. Like, that's a big deal. Like, that's the equivalent of him giving like a TV today.
Yeah, I get that.
It's like giving them the ability to stream things today. Like back, what a lot of people don't understand is back before VCRs became commonplace, the only thing you could watch on TV was whatever was airing on the TV channels.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't watch movies unless movies were on TV.
And they were edited, so you had to go to the theaters to watch it.
And you had to go home at a specific, if you wanted to watch your TV show, you had to go home and watch it when it was on air. Otherwise, you're going to miss it forever.
Yeah.
Unless you could catch it as a rerun.
That's why you have a monthly subscription to TV Guide.
Which you bring up a great point, because in the movie, the front end, Frank is making a big deal about he wants people scared to miss the thing, to miss whatever show was going on, which is interesting because he wants people to watch this live stuff. At the same time, he's peddling out these VCRs to people as a gift, the people who he likes. And so like that is a mentality of like, you're going to miss this if you don't watch it.
So yeah, after all that, you want to talk about the ghost of the past, Christmas past?
He was fun.
The lead singer of the New York Dolls.
He was fun.
Yeah, that guy. Well, I wrote down.
But which part of him?
I have a hard time seeing him in men's clothes, to be perfectly honest.
Like,
David
Are
Johansen.
we talking his head, or are we talking Larry, Curly, and Moe that were in his ribs?
No, you're thinking of the ghost of
Future.
the future.
Oh, never mind.
I'm talking about the guy that was
The
in
cigar
taxi
smoking New York taxi
the
driver.
taxi cab guy.
I also liked him.
driver.
I liked him. He had
Like,
great tone. Whatever feelings he matched, like when he's like Niagara Falls. I'm like, dude, that
Like Niagara Falls.
yes.
he is
It's-
how I picture all New Yorkers.
It's Roz from Playing Games.
It is. It is.
Links in the description down below to figure out what they're talking about.
Yeah, so he introduces
So-
him to that, and introduces to his childhood, and talks about how he got like the 5-pound veal, and it's like, see, you're crying because you got meat. Just look, I actually thought that was funny.
No, because he was talking about he saw his mother, and he's like Niagara Falls, and he's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm crying at the gift when I see that I had received a gift of grass-fed veal that would be worth $50 nowadays.
And I'm over here going, only 50.
Yeah,
Well, $50 in 1988. Let's figure it out.
Not,
and it's the
not
So-
what I was
first
saying.
first time we get to introduce to the Indiana Jones baby mama girlfriend, Karen Allen, who to me she is way too nice for this sleazebag.
Yes.
Way
was
too
annoyed.
good for this film, in my opinion.
This is why I didn't like her as a character, was because like that first interaction with her where she's in the studio with him, and that back and forth of like she's happy and she's playful, kind of flirty with him, and then he's a complete butthole, and she gets onto him, but then she's like, okay, it's all good. Like there was like this was a terrible like script
She still
for her.
wanted to be with them.
Can we talk about the fact
Oh,
that
real quick. $50 in 1988 is equal to $112 right now.
yes,
so,
but a price of veal now is about 100.
so
This
it works.
is the point I was trying to make.
It works. It's all on the level.
What were you saying, Celeste?
Let's talk about how she took her brain from Indiana Jones and left it in the Ark of the Covenant.
yes,
Because
yes.
she just goes, oh, it's a man. He wants to love me. Oh, he's a jerk to everybody else, but I'll forgive him. And I'm like, woman, you can do better.
Yeah, he's a jerk to her. It's like, I can make this man better somehow. No, you can't.
She's got
What?
Disney syndrome.
She's stupider than the Disney princesses. She really is. And it's frustrating because you have in the 80s, you have the I am woman, hear me roar, I don't need man
Yeah.
thing going on. And then you have this. And I'm like, this is too far
I can
the
fix
other
him.
way. This is how we end up in abusive relationships, ladies. Stop it.
That's right. You tell her, if you're going to save anybody, pick them off. Save yourself.
Save yourself. Yeah. And you don't see them. The thing is that you don't really see them fight too much. You see everything that he's going against everyone. So when they do have that one fight, you see that one stupid fight. And then she's like, you know what? We're through. I'm like, wait a minute. What led up to this? I want to know what led up to between them, because I know they show him like a complete douchebag towards everybody around, but not towards her so much until that very end.
What happened is that she had been repressing her feelings like any good people pleaser and hadn't said anything for the entirety of their relationship. And then she was like, I'm done. And he's going, what?
I want to see more of that,
She
not
didn't
after they broke up and
fight.
hear about it.
Celeste, why does it
Yes.
feel like you're speaking from personal experience on this topic?
That's not what this podcast is about, John.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening anymore.
But yeah, I agree with you 1000% Celeste. I was just like, I want to see more of them, like what was it led up to the breakup with her. I want to see that, but also, the entire time as she's putting up with him being that way towards everybody, I'm like, really? A
And
little
what's
mental, are we?
really frustrating to me is that I really loved her character in Indiana Jones, but she just was like a towel would have been a better girlfriend.
No.
Just, hello, I am a towel. I'm here.
Legitimately, like her character, like to like what Kevin was saying, we see her like just lovey-dovey with him. The Christmas stuff, there's no sign of any kind of like the relationship's not okay, other than the fact that he gave her knives. That might have been a mistake, but
They were nice knives.
they were nice knives.
They were Ginsu knives.
But then all of a
And-
sudden
and
you see this one
that
thing.
reference to the Ginsu knives was 80s as heck.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
That was the one, that and the mullet were the most 80s things in the film.
True.
But the you go from that to he goes, hey, this is a really important business meeting, we need to go and do this, and all of a sudden she's mad. Like, we have no frame of reference of how often he's done this to her. Like what's going on here? Like, why is she so angry at him in this moment? We have no frame of reference for that.
None whatsoever. Okay. Let's go to the next ghost, because let's get this thing there. Carol Kane as the ghost of Christmas Present. To me,
I love
is
her so much.
To me personally, I don't know about the other three but to me, she's the best thing in this film. Her physically beating and hitting on Bill Murray is so refreshing, because now you get to see someone with the same equal
refreshing
attitude right back at him as counteraction, like he's getting everything he deserves. To the point where she basically rips his lip, and they had to cut down the filming for a couple of days because Bill Murray's like, keep going harder, and Richard Donner was like, what? Why are you wanting to go?
Are you for real?
Yes. They just shut down the film for like 4 or 5 days because she ripped his lip and they couldn't talk. It's because Bill Murray's like, keep going harder, be more physical. And she was a little bit scared, but she's like, okay. And Richard Donner was like, I don't even know what's happening anymore, so I'll just film, because Bill Murray's like off his rocker or something. And this was his idea. So
if she had chosen a different voice, I would have liked it better. It was just the voice she was using.
Was it that Betty Boop voice?
Maybe, but it's just it was too high pitched for me.
Oh no, you needed the contrast, because there were moments where she went from being sweet and lovey to,
I love that. I love that.
You needed that contrast.
I just needed her to bring it down a couple octaves.
Agree to disagree on that one.
Okay.
I think her and Bobcat were the perfect characters in this movie, I think.
Wow. The perfect characters.
Yes.
Can you explain why she was a perfect character?
Because she did everything she was supposed to, and I thought her performance and what she did and her comedic timing was spot on. And she left me, Elvis had a motto for every concert that he did, to make sure how you could tell that you did a good job you leave them wanting more. I wanted more of her character. I wanted more of Bobcat Goldthwait's character.
I can see that. I can see that.
I think I wanted more of her, but yeah, I enjoyed her. I enjoyed the antics between them two. I enjoyed when she smacked his face with the toaster.
That was
Oh
funny.
my gosh, the toaster
That
was so good.
funny.
Toaster scene.
I almost had to pause the movie. I was laughing so hard at that.
It was hysterical.
So yeah, she had a great role. Even her doing her fake ballerina, I enjoyed that. I mean,
being okay. So being as we're talking about the Ghost of Christmas Present now, there was something during that sequence that bothered me this time around because I was old enough to have the wherewithal to think about certain things.
okay.
When he came back to himself after that encounter with the ghost,
Mhm.
why did he not try to go find the bum in the gutter and help him before he died?
I'm not the only one who thought about that. I'm glad you brought that up because that was a thing. Like, why did he not do that? Like, he spends like an hour on like live on the air talking about all this stuff, but like he seemed to act like that was a really important thing to him.
I think the implication was that he was already dead.
Yes.
It was part of the present,
yeah, because
not
Chris President, he was
the-
dead right then.
not the future.
Yeah. That's why he was yelling at him. He's like, you could have did this and so
Well,
forth. You could have
still-
inside, but
Still, what you just leave his body to rot in the gutter? You know, you don't give him the dignity of being found. And
because Bill Murray is a selfish, angry, hating person that only thinks about himself throughout the entire film.
I'm trying to think about the original Christmas Carol, and didn't the things that the Ghost of Christmas Present showed him, wasn't that stuff that he could still affect or change?
He
No,
tried to,
I
he
think-
wanted to, but he couldn't.
Not present. It was future that he could change.
Yeah. But during
Okay,
like
then.
the Christmas present, he tried to do something right then. He tried to, but it's like you can't do anything. They can't see you. This
Yeah.
one, he's like, I see it, but I already, I guess, acknowledge the fact I can't do anything, so I'm not even going to try. But I think the human, some form of human compassion will still attempt to try anyhow, just to see it. They could help.
and that's where I'm at with it. It's just like I would have, you can't affect it in spirit form, but who's to say you can't in physical form? I guess I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
It bothered me.
I give you that.
yeah. So the thing that happens next after that is that he busts through the door and he goes on set. We haven't really talked about his replacement, have we? His replacement,
Okay.
boss?
Yeah.
I feel like he plays a lot of sleazes in the 80s.
Yeah, like
John
Gremlins
Glover.
2? Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't seen
He
that one.
was such a throwaway character in this movie, though. He was more of a MacGuffin than anything else. in my
He was
opinion.
simply a mechanic for the story. But when he was on screen, I enjoyed him. He represented that 80s mindset that we've been talking about this entire time. That whole like, hey, I'm here to make a deal. Let's get moving. Here. Like he really did channel that aspect of the 80s, in my opinion.
If you want to put it in scientific terms, I can get what you're talking about. If you want to say that this movie is a giant thought experiment,
Mm-hmm.
then I would say that his character was the control in this situation,
Mm-hmm.
because he is basically Scrooge unaffected.
I'll give you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. He's a true schmuck.
I'll give you that.
But I feel like he plays that character a lot.
Yes.
Or played that character a lot.
Well, I mean, when
Like-
you're good at something.
Wasn't he the guy who was getting high in Die Hard?
That's not him, is it? I can't
No.
know.
That
His chin is way
that
too
was-
long.
well, not only that, but the guy that was getting high in Die Hard was also a brunette, and he had a beard.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, he had that watch. He doesn't have a watch in this one.
No, well, yeah.
Booby.
He did live a lot.
He was in RoboCop.
RoboCop.
I need to see what this is after this. I need to see what this is, what you're talking
We'll
about.
send you the link for the song.
Okay.
I need it to show my wife. I really do, but
You do.
yeah.
So when he sees the not true Grim Reaper, when he sees him right there in the elevator, and he falls down, and he punches her in the face. That was a real scene. They kept that in the movie. He really punched her jaw a little out of place, and the whole shocked face look and everything else, and him falling down. That was 100% real because Richard Donner did not tell him that he was going to have that happen. He's just like, you're going to open the door, you're going to walk inside. But he got that
So he legitimately was scared.
He was legitimately scared.
Yes.
He legitimately punched her name. Oh crap!
Was it Alfie Woodard
Yes,
or the censor lady?
his secretary. The secretary.
Alfie
Yeah,
Woodard.
yeah. Not the
Wow.
not the censor lady who got like hit, punch, kicked 1,000 times.
Can I just say? Can I just say? I loved that. They're on so many levels. I am so anti-censorship as it is, and just watching this lady get pummeled who works for the censor board, it not only did it warm my heart, but then they turned it around to show the hypocrisy of censorship by having every time something happened to her, she would just bust out with some explicit word or another. I loved that. And then at the end when they showed the blonde sleaze bag tied up underneath, and she holds up the mistletoe and starts like forcing herself on him.
Right.
I'm just like, that's the ultimate coup de grace to like any sort of censorship board right there. It's just love it. Love it.
Oh my gosh.
You like a little rough, don't you, you weirdo?
No, I like showing the hypocrisy of people who run censorship boards.
Okay.
And if anybody out there who is like that with me, go watch the PMRC trials where D. Snyder shows up and he turns their stuff back around on them so good. It's so tasty.
Interesting.
Okay. I guess you have to send me that link too. I'm going to be getting so many links after this show. I know it.
You will be.
Yeah. Then we see the what's it? Before the real Grim Reaper, we also see Catman Bobcat, whatever his name is. That guy. We see him one more time.
Catman.
I'm the Catman.
Yeah. With the vengeance to kill with the shotgun.
And now we are talking about Red Dwarf.
And this time he has a shotgun after, I guess, wasting whatever money he had on whatever alcohol he couldn't drink anyhow. And he comes after him with a shotgun.
Probably already had that.
He probably was drunk every day on the set anyways. Who knows?
No, not drunk, but the shotgun. He probably already had that.
He's like, please let me use something. And he uses the kill Bill, not the wedding kite, but actually kill Bill Murray. He goes on this rant, and then he goes right back into actually now he gets to see the real ghost Christmas present with the television screen and all the future. That's it, present? Yeah, future. Sorry, thank you. With all those latex Jim Henson that he always had in his closet, and he's like, okay, now I can finally use it. Opens up the robe and sees them.
No, they're probably foam.
Foam and latex.
Just yeah, maybe.
Probably more foam and latex than the Marvel film.
Not gonna go there.
But
So.
yeah, I think I mentioned it earlier. I like that design. It was cool.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like
That
he
was
didn't
a
say
cool
anything. He just showed him everything through his what his future was, always on television. So he gets to see him.
Okay. Did anybody else love the fact that the Ghost of Christmas Past's face was a TV screen?
You mean future?
Whatever.
Yes, that's
Kevin's got me
I
doing
loved
it
it. I
now,
thought
too.
that was great.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great touch on what was happening. The whole commentary of everything that's happening in this film.
So I just liked it. I liked the Ghost of Christmas Future a lot better in this movie than I did in the version that was not my first experience, but one of my first experiences with the Christmas Carol, because the one that I watched had 2 cold kids under his cloak,
Oh yeah.
which I thought was really weird.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer the fun heads in the ribs.
Which one did you watch first? What?
I don't. It was a drama class. I don't know.
Okay.
So I want to say this. I want to say this about the Grim Reaper and the TV screen. I thought it was a great touch because remember from the Ghost of Christmas Past, he confused his entire life with scenes from different TV shows. Like he's like, oh, there was this and this, and he's like, that was Little House on the Prairie, and like his life was the TV, and now his death was within the TV itself also. Which here's the question, because we saw the transition where the going into the funeral, which was one of the most visually stunning scenes in the whole film. The funeral scene was actually was very beautiful, beautifully shot in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But was he there, or was he watching all through the TV? Because it all goes through the TV at first.
Yep.
That's a good question, especially since he comes back out of the elevator.
Nothing's really shown to his true television. You know, he's still in his dreamland because he keeps popping out of something.
Mhm.
Popping on a set.
I think it's open to interpretation.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of like saying where was Aileen when Aileen wasn't in Aileen.
Huh?
Drew, links in description
Spoilers.
down below to find out what John is talking about.
Branson's gonna listen to this podcast
So-
and be like, "What?"
So we don't, you know, after the funeral scene and watching him like screaming murder and everything else while he's inside the casket being burned, and his brother and everybody's watching, no way do you see him want to change until he sees himself dying. And it's like he had to be scared to salvation to actually
here's
want
the
to make a
thing.
change and a difference. He still kind of didn't want to change even when he showed the future his ex-girlfriend, even when he kind of almost did, but not really. And it's like he didn't want to change until he sees himself dying. Then he's like, okay, now I want to change. I want
Wasn't also what we saw in the other renditions of Christmas Carol, even the book? That's kind of what we see. We see Scrooge going through this journey of like, oh well, that sucks, and then like being face to face with mortality, realizing, wow, no, really, this is the end.
because Scrooge still held on, like he cared, but he was so much lost into wanting money that into future because he didn't think he can make it without it. This one, he doesn't show like he can't make it without. He's just, you know, you just see him go up. It's just this. It could have been better
Well, here-
written.
Here's the thing, Kevin. A lot of people don't really think about the fact that they're going to die someday until they've been forced to look at it. I know I didn't until I got into my car accident that ripped my head open. And you know, the fact of the matter is sometimes that's what it takes for people to change, is they have to see the fact that, hey, someday I'm going to die and I'm going to be held accountable for what I'm doing in this life.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it took my dad. That's what took my dad to, you know, and I know that we're not explicitly a Christian podcast. We are, you know, but I mean, I'm gonna drop some spiritual truth here. You know, that's what it took my dad to become a Christian, is he had to get cancer,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and come to terms with his own mortality before he got saved and saw the light and changed how he was living his life. So, I mean,
But did your father had any ounce of humanity within him even before, or was he like a pure like Bill Murray character?
we're talking about a man who went over across the state because he got let go from his job. He had to go across the state to find a new job. My mom followed him a year later because they were waiting for me to get out of high school. She left everything to go be with him, and a month later he sent her packing back home just because he decided he didn't love her anymore after spending a year on his own. So it's debatable.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, I don't think Bill Murray.
And there's more to it, but a lot of it just comes to the fact that I don't want to. I'm not sure how much of my dad's skeletons I'm going to put out of my closet. So some of this may end up edited out in the
Yeah.
actual podcast.
That's understandable.
But there's more to it than that. But yeah, my dad wasn't super great pre BC.
Yeah, legitimately, people that there have been many people who were terrible individuals, and they were face to face with mortality, and it did spark a change in one direction or another. And out of fear of getting into our weak connection, that is a thing that takes place.
Mhm.
And I mean, we all have our crucial moment where we have to decide what we're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
So,
saying I don't
I don't-
believe people have crucial moments. It's like this one. It's just like he had almost really nothing to him until that one moment. Like you had nothing like to make you question. He didn't feel like he was even questioning every time he saw something bad happen to somebody else. Like, all right, something bad's happened to somebody else. It just felt
Well,
too strong of a
see, in the
difference.
future though, you saw some changes. You know, you saw the grief over Grace's son. What was his name?
Calvin,
Don't
I think,
remember.
something like that.
Calvin.
Yes,
yeah.
Calvin.
She had he had grief over Calvin. And he's like, we can fix this. And then when he saw Claire later, and she's taken on the mindset of basically getting rid of these urchins, you saw the grief in his eyes of going, oh my God, like her taking that decision, taking my advice, this is not good.
That was
This
the
is-
first
this is
time I
definitely
see
not
a
good.
bit of humanity in Bill Murray's character.
Wait. After the ghost of Christmas Past, when he had seen the part where him and Karen had broken up, he starts to feel remorse there too. That's the reason why he ended up going to the homeless shelter, was to go make up with her.
What about the whole rant he said the entire time? It was always about like me, I.
I think you're right. You're right. But I think that's part of the it's the script. B, that's part of the whole transition of individual. We don't expect people to change overnight into being a perfect person. There is a process of getting over mindsets and habits and the way we see things. I mean, his worldview was I'm top dog, and even though he had a shifting going, because when he first goes to Claire, that's him trying to go, I'm going to fix this myself. Like this is clearly, it's just that I need Claire in my life. He doesn't have the full view of the depth of what he's done. He's yet to see outside of himself to see everybody.
And I think that's what the Ghost of Christmas Present did, because if you notice with the Ghost of Christmas Present, he's not in any of the visions.
Yeah,
he's just shown. He is just being showed the effect of his life on other people and the long scope of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
yeah.
I'm just saying, as someone watching this movie, it just did nothing for me with much at all.
That's fine. That's fine.
So after this, then he screams, I want to live, I want to live. I experienced the true meaning of Christmas, which I'm like, did you really experience the true meaning of Christmas, or did you got scared into salvation?
Right.
Again, gonna throw it out there. He did not experience the true meaning of Christmas. He experienced the true meaning of having the Christmas spirit.
Yeah,
I'll give you that.
And what he kisses Bobcat's gold late and the cheek and everything else, and says, "Hey, give me a shotgun, you get your bonus back," and everything else, and goes on this psychotic, jacked up on something 10-minute rant, 10-minute rambling on Christmas meeting and everything else. They did that take 3 times because he kept going off script, and every time they did a take, he went longer and longer and longer. They did so much edit with that whole, because it's like there's like over an hour's worth of him just going on.
I would kind of like to see
He had
that.
a Charlie Sheen moment, is what you're saying.
Yes, that, or a Tom Cruise moment jumping on a sofa or something.
I kind of want to see the cuts of that. I hate that there's not a special edition of that.
Yeah,
To see what they cut out.
apparently there's a lot more to this film. They said there's so much that's cut, and so much, it's like they're not even going to try to even attempt to look back or go back. We're done. The one thing that really extremely bothered me towards this end was the mistletoe. When he sees the mistletoe under a woman, he sees a random woman, he's like, you know what, kisses her, and then confesses his love for his ex-girlfriend's like, no, still, he's manipulative. You don't kiss another woman and it's going to make out in front of television in front of millions of audience. Like, you know what, I like someone else far better. Like, I bet if that ever happened to me, she'd be like, no, you just kissed another woman. Screw you.
And that brings back to the fact that
She's
the
too
woman
nice.
left her brain in the Ark of the Covenant.
I'm just gonna say, Kevin, what if he kissed a dude?
I don't want to. I got too much hair on my face. I don't think another dude wants that. Who knows? I don't know anymore. All I know is that it was just odd. It was weird. That he's so manipulative, so arrogant.
I just threw Kevin off his rant. That was hilarious.
He's just a selfish, manipulative, arrogant person. He doesn't care about nobody but his own self. And little Calvin, he doesn't say anything for 5 years after his father's death. Nothing. He doesn't say anything to his mother that loves him, cares for him, feeds him, does anything. And he's like, he says, God blesses everyone. Everyone's like, oh my God, emotional moment. Bull crap. Emotional moment, my butt. You can't say anything to your mom for 5 years. You can't even say a thank you or hi. You can't even you don't even say one word. You go and make a whole sentence.
The problem I was having with it is that I'm too medical.
Yeah.
So I understand that even if he did say that doesn't mean all his problems are fixed.
Exactly.
Kids with selective mutism talk. They just don't talk when they're not comfortable, when they don't feel safe.
Exactly.
So in that moment, he felt safe, and that is very sweet. But it doesn't. It's not he's not turning into a chatterbox tomorrow.
Yes.
Without some psychiatric help.
Yeah, I feel safe about the boss and my mother who only gives us towels and doesn't give us enough money for a Christmas tree that they light me up for a Christmas tree, or anything else. But this is just like one
was
moment.
Sad. that was sad. Like, leave that baby alone.
Well, I think Kevin literally went plot point by plot point through this entire movie.
No, almost. The very last line of this movie. His brother says, "My brother, the king of Christmas. Give me a freaking break. The king of Christmas. Seriously, the king of Christmas. Not the Salvation Army, not the pastors, preachers, or even his girlfriend who has no brains keep coming back to him. She's not the queen of Christmas. He is the king of Christmas who hates every soul around him." Yeah.
But he was changed.
I think that was meant as sarcasm.
No, they were all clapping and everything else because he gave him the answer for Gilligan's Island. That who cares?
That was legitimately like, oh, how the crap did he know?
You can give people answers, but you can't change them. You can't bring that one person down to life in the zero. Nothing.
But they don't know about that. No one was there except for him and the dead guy. From
Yeah,
their perspective,
so are the
again,
ghosts-
It's the 80s. He has ESP.
Yeah, he needed his Ghostbusters friends help him out.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, anybody have any final thoughts on the film?
I want to hear
before we
John's
continue on?
thoughts. He's like staring at me.
I'm not staring at you.
You're staring at my beard. Okay, sorry. I want to hear your thoughts.
What? I suddenly want you guys to do a glitter beard off.
Yes.
You sure do got a pretty beard.
No, John.
No, John.
No, John.
Put Sayos back in the closet.
Links down below for find out what Celeste and John are talking about.
Every time Celeste is on here, there's going to be some playing games references because that's our other point of connection. So,
That's how we're friends.
Oh my
and
gosh.
that and the fact that we haven't had a script from Supersonic Pod Comics in 2 years. So,
True story.
So sad.
Oh my gosh. So any other thoughts on the film? Of what we enjoyed, didn't enjoy, things that just stuck out to us, like Jacob Marley's arm going out of that glass window?
Bill Murray yelling more and more every scene.
All right. Are we ready to give our final ratings, ladies and gentlemen?
I'd say yes.
before we give the final ratings, Dallas, why don't you just so our angry Irishman can understand the basis by which he's grading this movie, give the definitions of the shelving system.
Yes.
In what each shelf means.
Okay, so just for those who are listening at home, as we said, these were all found in a dumpster out there on the Planet Geekery. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out where Kevin's going to place them. Do we go on the bottom shelf where oh yeah, this is a terrible film and just needs to stay there? Yeah, it's fine. Middle shelf, we're okay, maybe pull it out once a year. They're okay. Top shelf, hey, this is actually a really good movie and it has been crapped on way too much. I don't care what the Metacritic score is. And then we have a special level called the dumpster fire, where Kevin takes it outside to his backyard and lights it on fire and then jettisons it into space. So this is our rating system. Let's start with our Irish friend. Kevin, where over the rainbow does this belong?
Why would you put me first and not last? Okay, never mind. I can understand. Okay. Okay. Given everything I put into this film, not everything I put into the film, but everything I've, as a critic and viewer, the makeup job is the makeup. Maybe it's Maybelline. The makeup job and costume is fantastic. The music, I thought again, it just was off-putting because it didn't really match the tone. I like the music. I didn't say I didn't like. It didn't match the tone of this movie all the way. Everyone else around Bill Murray, almost everyone else around Bill Murray, is actually really good, including me liking the ghost. But the story with him and his redemption and everything else, I'm saying it's not trash worthy. I know that it's not that, and it's definitely not top, but bottom shelf. It's not something I want to actually bring out every year or every month or anything else. It's just something I've watched and I'm good, I'm okay, and I'll just give it to somebody else who probably will have more enjoyment out of, not the crew, because apparently they didn't want to do anything else with the film either or talk about it. So, yeah, I mean that just shows. I think the only reason why people like it because it has that nostalgia feel and it has Bill Murray because people in the eyes of Bill Murray can't do no wrong, which there's people like who actually believe that. I just still think bottom shelf.
All right. Bottom shelf for Kevin. Celeste, how about you, babe?
So, my dad may have words with me about my rating. he may be upset with me, but I really enjoyed the movie. Like, I'm not a huge Bill Murray fan. Like, I'm not like, it's Bill Murray, I have to go see it. But I enjoyed the movie. And so I'm going to put it on the middle shelf because it's not top shelf, but it's not the worst Christmas movie I've ever seen.
All right.
Jingle all the way.
I like that one.
So do I.
John, where are you placing this one?
Based off of our rating system, I can appreciate why people might take issues with this movie, Kevin. I can appreciate, and I can see the points that were made. I'm a phrase I've had since high school is I'm never so right that I can't be wrong. But given that this movie is a comedy and it's the intention that this movie was made with was not for imitating real life, but rather to convey a simple message about being in the Christmas spirit and to make people laugh. And the fact that it had accomplished both with me, and I found it to be enjoyable, and I think that it compensated for where it lacked by being entertaining for me. Based upon that and the fact that I can see the flaws with this movie, I'm going to put it on the middle shelf. It's something that should be brought out every once in a while, not necessarily consistently, but if I find the right person who I think has the right mentality for the dark humor that's in it, I'd show it to them. I'd be like, hey, I think you're going to enjoy this.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So we got two middle shelves, a bottom shelf. So I've been thinking about this, and Celeste and I, we have a tradition that we just started recently where every year we watch a adaptation of the Christmas Carol for Christmas. And I think this is one that I could go, let's pull this out. Not every year.
Not every year.
Not we're going to watch this all the time. I don't think Bill Murray can do, how to say it? Bill Murray's not the end all. Like, Lost in Translation was a terrible film, and he didn't help it. Kevin just lost his mind on me.
No, the translation was bad.
Lost in Translation is one of my favorite films, and I love that movie.
Next time on the bottom shelf. I didn't like it. So
well, some people over here like art.
And some people like Lost in Translation. Anyways,
some people liked Plan 9.
Some people like Plan
Don't
9.
start. Plan 9's phenomenal. I love it.
So for me, I'm putting this on the bottom shelf. I mean, on the middle shelf.
Yes, bottom shelf. You said it. It's done. Split decision.
Middle shelf. It's on the middle shelf.
I
That's
knew
a
that's
3 to.
what to do. I knew that.
So
we have a contested middle shelf. That's what we'll call that.
A contested middle shelf. So we want to hear from you guys, though. Your thoughts on it. Did you guys like it? Do you not like it? What shelf does it belong to? So, any final words before we move on to our week connection?
Once again, Bill Murray can't do no wrong like Tim Burton. Tim Burton can't do no wrong. Everybody loves him just to be them.
Nobody said Bill Murray can't do no wrong.
No, I'm just saying and I said for us, I mean like in a general audience.
Again, Lost in Translation.
And I didn't like Groundhog's Day, so.
Somebody play the music.
You didn't like Groundhog Day?
All
you don't
right,
like Groundhog Day?
To a segment from our friend Ben Avery.
Do you need a moment, Dallas?
I don't know. Oh my gosh.
I'm just sitting here watching Kevin's head.
Just tell me every good movie that's out there and just tell me you hate them, okay?
This is
Please tell me you hate Lawrence of
right?
Arabia. Tell me you hate, Ten Commandments. I'm waiting to hear that too.
That was my
Oh,
first
Boring.
DVD.
Ten Commandments?
so-
Yeah. That was the first DVD I bought.
Oh, nice.
nice.
This is a weak connection.
So our week connection today is it's a story of redemption. That's what I like about the Christmas Carol song, or not song, Christmas Carol story as a whole, period, is you have this redemption arc of an individual who is face to face with mortality and his life decisions, and he has to make a change. And it makes me appreciate I appreciate because it is a thing. There are people in your life who have done terrible and horrible things, but there is hope for them. And it doesn't matter. I know people right now, and maybe you guys know them too, that they have said they have done too much to be forgiven. They have done too much to have grace. And that's just not the case. There is grace for us all. No matter what we've done, no matter how far we've gone, there's grace for us to repent until we breathe our last breath. There is a moment for us to have opportunity to grow and to become what God's called us to be. And so that's my encouragement to you guys. Maybe you're listening to us. Again, we've gotten spiritual a couple times on this podcast today, but we are Christians, all four of us. And we believe God has a plan and purpose for your life. And you've not done too much to have salvation. And I know it's a scary thought for some people, because that maybe means that there's some people in your life that you've given up on. God hasn't, and he hasn't given up on you either. So that is our week connection for the day from me. Anybody else got anything?
Only thing I'm going to say is that, yes, 100% agree with you. You're never too far past from outside the love of God and his grace and mercy, because case in point,
Right.
the thief on the cross.
Word.
The
That's a
very
great example.
the very moment of his death, he recognized Christ Jesus as his savior and that he could
hmm
redeem all, because all redemption is paid on the cross through his blood, through that. Yeah. So you're never too far. And as I've said before to others and people personally, that anytime you feel you're not valued or you have no worth or anything else, that's just the whispers of Satan telling you, trying to convince you something otherwise, because God doesn't make mistakes.
Word.
You're perfect in his eyes.
Good
Although
stuff.
this movie is not perfect in any way, so as for myself, okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, God could even save a Scrooge. He could save everyone, but I just didn't think he could save Bill Murray from this. Okay, kidding, he can.
The only thing Kevin's questioning is if God can save us for thinking Lost in Translation is not a good movie.
Sure, yeah. I mean, this movie did win one Academy Award, so I guess that that's some sort of hope. Which I don't even care for Academy Awards, anyways.
That is another story for another day.
All right. Well, let's shelve this movie and let's land this floating fortress in the sky. John, where can people find you?
I believe the actual question in the order is, where are we flying to next?
Oh, that's a good question too. We should probably do that. Where are we flying to next?
That would be Kroll.
I'm excited.
Wait, Cruel or Crow? Cole?
Kroll.
Carl.
Kroll.
Carl.
Carl.
That kills people.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Sometimes you just have a craving that only hands can satisfy.
Thank God the children weren't around.
Yeah,
Must have been that lovely couple from 2B.
So next time we're doing 1983's Kroll. We're going back in time. We're
Again.
stuck in the 80s for a while.
Yeah.
All right, so Kroll, I'm excited about this. You guys have no idea how excited I am about this doing Kroll. So buckle up.
Let me ask you this, Dallas, because there was a period in time where I was the same way about it. When Strangers and Aliens did a review on Kroll, and then they came back from it, and I'm like, they are so wrong. So I went and watched it. How long has it been since you've seen it?
Probably it was 2003 to 2004.
Okay.
And it is
Okay.
currently 2021. So you do the math.
Okay. I'm just saying, remember this conversation.
Oh, I know it's gloriously terrible.
Now, I haven't seen this film since we first mentioned it, and I first seen To the Dumpster, and it was on sale, so I bought it. And I've been holding off because I've been wanting to see it. And I was like, I'm holding off. And then I seen the Christmas movie up top, and I was like, okay, I guess we'll review Scrooge, but I really would like to review Crow, but, wanted to get in that merry, merry, merry holiday spirit with this movie. So, yeah.
I will say that we'll get into it. We'll get into it later. We'll get into it next week. All right, in 2 weeks.
You can tell we're excited about doing this movie, though. And Kevin, something for you to be excited about. One of your
Go ahead. I can finish your sentence for you. I know.
Can we finish the sentence for the listening audience?
One of his countrymen makes one of his first appearance in this movie as well.
Who's that?
I always forget his last name. Liam
Neeson?
No. Wait, yeah, Liam Neeson.
I'm looking at Liam Neeson's name.
It's just
right now.
every time I am afraid of saying his name because sometimes it comes out as Leslie Nielsen, and that's wrong.
That's very different.
Different white guy.
Very different.
Oh my gosh.
This was Liam Neeson's first movie?
No.
One of them. He even still has his Irish accent in it.
He always has. It's just become more a bit Americanized, sort of like me. But no, his first film was The Pilgrim's Progress.
I just
Really
like how you
Yes.
said sort of like me.
Well, you're surrounded by so many people, you try to sound somewhat alike. That way, people will stop.
His first film was Pilgrim's Progress, and then he said to Abaddon in that movie, "I have a certain set of skills."
All right, we need to end this podcast, guys.
All right.
John, where can people find you?
Where can't they find me? I'm on Facebook, but you won't be able to get to my personal site unless you're somebody I already know because paranoid settings. But you can find me through The Bottom Shelf. You can find me through the
Aliens
Geek
and Predators?
Devotions, the Geek Devotions Facebook group, the Geek Devotions Discord group. Thank you. I'm also part of the Supersonic Pod Comics group, as both myself and Celeste are voice actors for Supersonic Pod Comics. You can find me on Playing Games with Strangers. You can find my band Mezzanine on the Face Space and in Reverb Nation. I think I've covered most of it. I'm afraid of what finger you're going to hold up next.
You have 5 more podcasts to name. Come on, man. You can do it.
Hey, Dallas, you want to start 5 more podcasts?
No.
You didn't even let him answer.
He starts 5 more podcasts. I get a spinning wheel.
That was my way of actually prodding Celeste because I knew how that conversation would go.
Oh my gosh. Celeste, where can people find you?
You can find me over at Geek Devotions or at my Etsy shop for called Celestial Creations. You can also find me on Playing Games with Strangers. So those are all my current projects.
Sweet. Kevin, where can people find you?
Other than this podcast that you're listening to right now and enjoying, listen to my review. You can also find me in Florida if you decide to come and avoid the snow.
Oh no.
We've got lots of rain, loads of rain.
Right.
And we have loads of hipsters and all kinds of people around here.
Right.
If you don't want to travel and see me in person, I understand. You can also find me on the internet, which I am on Geek Devotions as well, do a monthly writing. You can find me on my YouTube channel and Facebook as the Dapper Man, where I dress nicer and more clean. Usually have a haircut too, which I need to get. And yeah, you could find me there if you wish.
Yeah. There you go. Just throwing stuff here.
Is that a present for me? Did you give me a present for Christmas? Who'd you give me for Christmas?
I got you a pin and some towels.
Got you a VCR.
All right. Hey, these things are becoming popular around where I'm at. They're renting VCRs out.
There's a whole movement of people getting back into VHSs.
Ugh.
Yeah.
It's like people getting into vinyl.
People are getting into cassettes now, bro.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh.
Jasper K
Cassettes
actually, I
are
think
fun.
he messaged me. Is like, hey, you got some VHSs? And I was like, yeah. How much you want for?
Dude. Oh man. So if you guys want to check me out, just look for me at Geek Devotions. We're on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And Facebook, just look for Geek Devotions. And our website, geekdevotions.com, where you can find our other podcasts, such as Prune the Rhythm Machine that John does. Bees Views
Oh, yeah,
and
I do that
Reviews,
too.
the articles that Kevin writes for us, and all kinds of great stuff. So, all that being said, until next time.
Love and peace.
Have a lovely Merry Christmas.
We need to come up with a tagline. Send us some suggestions. You guys go ahead and just email us some suggestions or send us some messages. Oh, wait. Check out our stuff for The Bottom Shelf. The Bottom Shelf website, thebottomshelf.blueberry.net, or check out our Facebook and Instagram, The Bottom Shelf Podcast.
And rate, and subscribe. That helps us get in front of other people.
Exactly, because Google doesn't like us. So help us get out, guys.
Who does Google like?
Other
than Mark Zuckerberg or whoever that guy is.
Not The Bottom Shelf.
Not The Bottom Shelf. That's all we know. So until next time, guys, stay devoted. Peace and love.
Bye.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.